I know, you know what it is.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before you adopt tonight's agenda, Town Council policy is to review and ensure there are no conflicts of interest or appearance of conflict of interest with any items on the agenda. Does any council member have anything they wish to share at this time? Okay, seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to adopt tonight's agenda.
I make a motion we adopt this evening's agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that carries unanimously 7-0. There are 3 items on this evening's consent agenda: FY23 quarterly budget capital project ordinance amendments, a resolution authorizing a federal emergency management agency equipment grant application, and approval of the December 13th, 2022 Town Council meeting minutes. Would any council member like to remove any of those for discussion before we adopt? Okay, I'd entertain a motion to adopt this evening's consent agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That also carries unanimously 7-0. There are 3 administrative reports tonight: a master sustainability plan update, an FY 2023 second quarter financial and mid-year budget report, and a winter advisory recruitment report. Administrative reports are provided as information-only items unless council has questions. Are there any questions on any of those 3 items? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. We are now at item 9, public address. Town Clerk Smith will now present any public comments received and recognize anyone in the audience who signed up to speak.
Thank you, Mayor Cawley. There was one public address comment received via email. This comment is from Nareesh Patel. Dear council members, I live in Cotton Place off Aviation Parkway. I would like the council to consider what Apex has for its community near rail tracks, which is a sign that says the train horn will not sound. Morrisville has barriers, lights, and alarm sounds to indicate the imminent arrival of a train at the 2 crossings in the township. Morrisville has expanded from a small rural community to a very densely populated town currently. The issue with the horn being sounded in the night hours. Couldn't we have an ordinance so that from 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. the trains do not sound the horn? This would certainly improve the quality of life for a lot of residents. The train would have a very tough time avoiding accidents considering their speed and momentum. We have safeguards to alert people of approaching trains. Thank you for your kind consideration. Nareesh Patel, 113 Cotton Square Lane, Morrisville, North Carolina. We do have individuals signed up to give in-person public comment, the first being Bill Dudkowitz.
Okay, Mr. Dudkowitz, if you'd like to approach the microphone, please. You will have 3 minutes to speak on any item of your choosing. When the alarm beeps after 3 minutes, please finish that thought. And if there's anything else that you want to share, you're always welcome to email us at towncouncil@townofmorrisville.org. If you could state your name and your address for the record, please.
Okay, I'm Bill Dudkowitz. I'm a resident of Morrisville. I live at 1112 Justice Walk Avenue, just down the street. I'd like to make a comment on item 11C, the Morrisville Veterans Memorial Design Options. I am a member of the Morrisville Veterans Memorial Foundation, but I am speaking as an individual. I am a veteran. I'm a Vietnam veteran. I served in the U.S. Air Force. I'm a member of CARI Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 7383, and I'm a member of the American Legion China Post 1. Now, first of all, I'd like to thank the town council for agreeing to fund the design of the memorial. That is a big help, but there are some issues that I think we really have to look at. We have to really get this right. I'd like to point out that the proposal has a construction cost of $928,000. That's a lot of money. Our checking account balance is $15,306. So I'd like to encourage the council to look very carefully at this. We've got to get it right. there's a lot of things that are right about the proposal and will serve the town well. But if we don't get everything right, we're going to have issues, and we're going to regret it, and they're going to be difficult to fix. Some of the things that I'd like to point out is I think fundraising is going to be a challenge with the current design. The current design, the cherry trees, the massive park benches, this is going to be a turnoff for some donors. You know, maybe it's not going to turn everybody off, but it's certainly going to turn some people off. And also, now the proposal envisions a 24-month construction timeline after the funds are raised. So given our $15,000 checking account balance, when is that going to occur? George McDowell, another member of the Veterans Memorial Foundation, has presented a proposal to you for an alternate design, that we look at that design and look for ways to save money. We don't need an expensive design to honor veterans. We can have a well-designed, economical, environmentally friendly design which will honor veterans just as much as if we spent a lot of money on a fancy design. So I hope you'll take a look at the process and don't rush it. Don't rush to go and get this approved. Take the time, look at the options, see what we can do to save money. And I think there's a need to get some additional feedback from some additional groups. One being, am I running out of time?
Yeah, if you could just sort of send us that via email, and I believe you might have already done that.
Okay, I'll make it quick. Additional groups, veterans groups, and environmental groups. And I guess mistakes made in rushing are difficult to fix. And I guess with that, I'll close it.
Thank you, sir.
I thank you for hearing me out.
Of course, thanks for your service on that committee and for your past service to the country. Appreciate it.
The next public speaker that we have signed up is, I apologize, it's only one name written. Pan Am, phone number 4105, the last four. Okay, the next individual signed up to give public address comment, Shanae. There's just one name written here also.
Can you spell out the letters maybe? That would.
CHENNERRE possibly?
Yeah, he's there. They're calling you.
Sorry, what?
That's him there. You signed up.
Sir, did you want to speak to the group?
Yeah.
Is your name Shanae? Shanae. Thank you, sir. If you could come to the microphone and give us your full name and your residence address, please.
Sir, quick
My name
question.
is Channa Mudireddy, and I live at 112 Bayless Ridge Court, Morrisville.
Mayor,
Yeah, quick question to,
he may be for the public
yeah,
hearing.
that's what I
Public
want to
hearing,
check.
I'm doing
address.
public hearing.
Yeah, if you just want to have a seat, I'll call you for the public hearing.
Okay. Thank you all. Anyone else here for public address, not the public hearing? Okay. Thank you very much. We'll move on to item 10, which is public hearings. There is one public hearing on this evening's agenda, a proposed amendment to the zoning map for Duke Energy located at 940 Morrisville Carpenter Road. That's REZ-22-0010. The public hearing was continued from the January 10th Town Council meeting. The applicant has requested a continuance of this item in the public hearing to the February 14th meeting to allow them additional time to review and prepare additional requested information from Town Council and the community. Susie Russell, Planner 2, will provide any updates.
Mayor Colley and members of Town Council. I just have that staff mailed some letters, and that was on January 19th to notify all residents 500 feet within the property. And those also included the letter from Duke requesting in that mailing. And that's really all the updates I have.
So they're notified about the continuance, and the continuance was included in that letter.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Does anyone have any questions for staff before we continue the public hearing? Okay, thank you very much. And the applicant is here if we have any questions for the applicant. At this time, the public hearing remains open. You're welcome to sign up and share your thoughts. Generally, in public hearings, you get one chance to speak on a subject, even over many nights. So if you're already spoken, we'd ask you to send us an email with further thoughts, or get someone else to share your thoughts on your behalf at the meeting. Would anyone like to go ahead? We have people signed up, I believe. Mr. Smith? Okay, now is the appropriate time, sir, to come up and share your thoughts. I'll have to ask you to repeat all that again, please, your name and your address.
So my name is Channa Mudreddy, and I live at 112 Baylor Street Court, Morrisville. So I came here to hearing on the rejoining of the transformer which you are going to build on the Morrisville Carpenter Road. And I apologize, I didn't attend last meeting, but we have a follow-up questions on for the Duke. One of them is, until last meeting, we didn't know there are 2 substations. But now we assume that all residents, it is only one, at least I assume there is only one substation. So just I want to clear why Duke didn't even inform us there are 2 substations in that property, which I came to know that there are 2 substations. That's all for my questions for this one.
Okay, thank you very much.
I will call the individual that I attempted to call for public address. I apologize on the name again. Param.
You will have 3 minutes, sir. Thank you for your name and address.
My name is Punnam Koluru. I live at 128 Bayless.
Kunam, I apologize. I believe you provided public hearing comment during the last meeting?
Yes.
Yeah, yes, sir, yeah. As the mayor stated, you're unable to provide public hearing comment during this meeting also.
Okay, so I cannot.
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. I just came in, so I.
Gotcha, no problem.
We would welcome you to send an email if any additional thoughts come to you. That goes for everybody.
There were no other individuals signed up to give in-person public comment.
Okay. This public hearing will be continued on February 14th. So if anyone wants to speak, yeah, and I was going to ask if anyone else wants to, but I just want to let everyone know that 14th would be another time to do this. Is there anyone in the audience now who would like to speak on this subject at this time? Okay, if you want to go ahead and approach the microphone, your name and address for the record, please. And you'll have 3 minutes.
My name is Julie Domina. I live at 111 Great Shot Drive. And I just wanted to go on record saying that I oppose the rezoning. Mainly when I was looking at the neighborhood in 2013 and we looked at the house, our realtor was like, "What are you doing? Why are you looking at this house where there's power lines behind you?" So I saw in the Duke application, they were not thinking that property values would decline, but I very much believe that it will decline. So I just figured I would come, say that. And then my only 2 questions, which maybe Duke can answer next time, are that I saw in the application they put there would be a 20-foot street yard buffer, and I don't fully understand everything. But from my yard in 113 Gray Shot, it's going to be completely cleared. So I'm assuming they're not going to have any kind of buffer from the lines. So it's just going to be, instead of woods, which we have right now, straight power lines and substation. So that was my one question to go on record. And then right now, they came out and did a survey, and I have a fence, and there's the survey online, and the map shows the 3 kind of poles going in my neighbor's yard, not right up against my fence, but the survey that they did, there's a wooden stake hugging my fence line. So I was just also curious about placement of that. But those are my comments. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So does anyone have any questions for staff or Mr. Clayton at this time, representing Duke Energy? No. Okay. Town Attorney, do we need to make any kind of motion to leave it open, or is it? I believe that's the consensus of the council, that we're going to leave this open through the February 14th meeting, the public hearing. Okay. And continue to look forward to more input via email and more public hearing on the 14th for those who wish to add more information.
TJ?
Yes.
Sorry, I do have one question.
Yes, please do.
Sorry, I do have one question for Mr. Clayton, or maybe a comment. Hi, Mr. Clayton. Thanks for coming out again. The last person that spoke mentioned that there would be no tree buffer between her yard and the substation. And I would just like to make sure that I would hope that no one's yard will look directly onto the substation without a tree buffer. So I just would like that addressed in the follow-up presentation, please. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Yeah, Councilmember Scroggins-Johnson, please.
I guess I have a comment too. Tree buffers are good. However, safety is a concern for me, and I was wondering if there's consideration for having some walls to protect the structure, as well as to provide a buffer for the adjoining properties that might be impacted the most by that expansion. That would affect both safety and possibly sound.
Councilmember Rao, please.
Yeah, just as I've been talking to residents both in Addison and Ridgemont, where I live, one thing that's come up is any efforts on the retention pond in terms of aesthetics that can help make it look nicer. There's been some mention of drainage systems, making a better drainage system, which might be something that we can work on. So just two things I've heard about just in terms of aesthetic appearance.
Okay. This time I think we'll move on to the next item then. Next item is item 11, presentations. We have 3 presentations tonight: proclamations recognizing Black History Month, and the Health for Humanity Yogathon, and a Morrisville Veterans Memorial Design Options presentation. Councilmember Rabati will read the first proclamation.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm proud to read the proclamation recognizing Black History Month. Whereas Black History Month is observed annually across the United States in February and serves as a celebration of African American achievements, as well as a time to recognize the crucial role they have played in U.S. history. And whereas in 1915, Dr. Carter Godwin Woodson, noted African American scholar and son of formerly enslaved people, founded the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History, which was later renamed the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, ASLAH. And whereas Dr. Woodson initiated Black History Week, February 12, 1926, which was celebrated the second week of February for many years, as this coincided with the birthdays of Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln. In 1976, as part of the nation's bicentennial, Black History Week was expanded and became established as Black History Month. And whereas observing Black History Month provides opportunities to gain a deeper understanding of African American history and acknowledges the centuries of struggles for equality and freedom. And whereas Morrisville is particularly fortunate to have a rich, diverse culture. The Shiloh community was established in 1867, just 15 short years after Morrisville was chartered. Prior to the Civil War, 1861 to 1865, Shiloh was home to free African Americans. During the month of February, the town has emphasized the importance and impact of Black history in Morrisville through the lens of the Shiloh community by highlighting historical markers and greenway signage through social media and other resources. And whereas we are immensely proud of our history and diversity and will continue taking on challenges to advance reforms and break down barriers, recognizing that despite progress, racial prejudice still exists in America. Now, therefore, the Town Council of the Town of Morrisville does hereby recognize February 2023 as Black History Month and encourages all residents to celebrate our diverse heritage and culture and continue our efforts to create a world that is more just, peaceful, and prosperous for all. Signed, T.J. Cawley, Mayor and Town Council.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. I will read our final proclamation of the evening. This is a proclamation recognizing the Health for Humanity Yogathon. Whereas yoga is an ancient Hindu practice developed thousands of years ago in the Indian subcontinent for maintaining spiritual, mental, and physical well-being, and whereas Surya Namaskara, or sun salutation, is a traditional yogic practice combining a sequence of postures with breathing exercises, and whereas Hindu Swama Savek Sangh, or HSS, is a nonprofit charitable organization with over 250 branches in 171 cities and in 34 states, including 10 branches in the state of North Carolina, through which it conducts a Hindu values education program for Hindu families and community service activities such as food drives, providing hot meals to shelters, and other sewa, or service, activities in several cities across North Carolina. And whereas HSS is organizing its annual Health for Humanity Yogathon with the goal of having 20,000 individual participants practice Surya Namaskar to promote the spiritual, mental, and physical well-being of all members of the community. And whereas yoga enthusiasts, yoga studios, local schools, and other community organizations are participating in the HSS Health for Humanity Yogathon. Now, therefore, the Town Council of the Town of Morrisville does hereby recognize HSS for organizing its annual Health for Humanity Yogathon to promote the spiritual, mental, and physical well-being of all members of the community and encourage the residents to participate in this health awareness activity. And that's recognized today. And now I'd like to recognize Jerry Allen, our Community Services Supervisor, who will make the final presentation of the evening.
Good evening, everyone. It's great to see everyone again, and wanted to come to you tonight with some information, and obviously you all are familiar with our Morrisville Veterans Memorial Project, but just as a little background information for anyone who may not be. Last June, the town, contracted with Stewart Engineering to develop a site plan for a future Morrisville Veterans Memorial. Last fall, Stewart met with town staff, met with our Morrisville Veterans Memorial Foundation, the Parks and Rec Advisory Committee, and set up a public input opportunity at our Morrisville event. They then came and met with town council and shared the feedback they had received with you, and took your feedback, combined with that, and developed 3 site plan concepts that were brought back for review to the advisory committee and the Veterans Foundation, and brought back to council. That was in October. After that, they took all the feedback garnered from everyone and worked to narrow from 3 concepts down to 1 concept, which they're now bringing back to propose for the site plan. That new concept was reviewed with the Morrisville Veterans Memorial Foundation and several members of the Parks and Rec Advisory Committee at the foundation meeting on December 14th. There was feedback from that meeting that was taken, and input from town staff that was also included in the information that you're going to see tonight. And the Veterans Foundation at that time voted to endorse the concept to come forward to council for your review. So at this time, I'll turn the microphone and presentation over to Emily Blackwell, and I'm sorry, your new last name? Emily Blackwell Shaw. She was recently married, and I'm sorry I didn't catch that. And I'll turn it over to her to share the new site plan concept.
Thank you, Jerry. Y'all hear me? I don't think the mics are super loud this evening, just so you know. Okay. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council, for having us back. I am Emily Blackwell Shaw. I've been the project manager over the team designing the master plan for the memorial, along with Stitch, our architecture partners, and Harris Cost, who is a professional cost estimating company that has put together our costs that I will review with you as well. So just to give all of you a refresher and anyone who's not been involved with this process, I'm going to go through the three concepts that we presented quickly and kind of highlight the elements that were favored about each of those concepts that you will see kind of incorporated into the final concept. So the key elements of this concept one was the water feature, the fact that the orientation of the water feature was oriented towards Arlington. Let's see, can you see the pointer? I don't know if y'all can see that on your screen, but the point here was pointed towards Arlington. The amount of gathering space and the pergola and the shade that was incorporated in this one. Concept two was a kind of a circular space, kind of elevated, overlooking the pond with a circular structure over it. So the fact that it was elevated, had a shade structure, and then looked out towards an eternal flame. So kind of reflected, out of the space and kind of reflected out from self to the greater space around you. Were elements that were enjoyed about this concept. Concept three was this kind of more spiral, walking, traversing the site experience. It had a sculptural piece in the middle that was liked. The amount of vegetation was one of the favored things about this one as well. The walkway connections to the parking lot, to the greenway, and to Town Hall Drive were liked, and some people liked the walking journey. Some really felt that might be methodical. Some others were concerned about accessibility or it being kind of a long journey to get to the center of the experience. So we took all three of, all the feedback on those three and kind of retained as many of those elements on the left here. And some additional comments that we received through that was wanting to look a little more deeply at materials, which we of course did as we went further into the design, wanting to preserve some lawn space, making sure it's intimate, making sure it's a quiet, reflective space. Some seating outside of the main plaza, and then additional shade from trees were some items that we wanted to work into that. So what we found was the thing that was out of all three of those most loved about the concepts was that orientation to Arlington, or just pointing to DC, which is kind of the center of and so if you're oriented toward Arlington, you're not only oriented from here, be a fractions of a degree difference to the Washington Monument, to any of the monuments, to the Pentagon in DC. So kind of having that connection of Morrisville to the heart of America in that way. So, and then also the water feature was the number one thing from our public input, as well as the eternal flame was the other really top item from our meetings with the committees. You'll see that we kind of some sketches here of the evolution of trying to really focus our design and we really took those elements and kind of combine them in. So we had that presentation, kind of almost the version you're going to see in just a second. We on the 14th with the Morrisville Veterans Foundation and then some members of the Parks and Rec Advisory Commission. Some minor changes that are reflected in the plan you're going to see in a second were that they requested more benches, and we added some panels on the wall, I'll point out in a second, that kind of help tell the story a little bit more. And ultimately, as Jerry said, the Morrisville Veterans Memorial Foundation did endorse the plan and was supported by the Parks and Rec Advisory Committee members that were present. They did not have enough members at that meeting to call it a quorum, so I don't want to misstate that. So this is the final concept. I'll break down the pieces in just a second, but what you'll see primarily is this strong orientation here, which is pointing toward Arlington. And kind of one of my professors back in school was the dean of the College of Design. I always said, the main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. And so what we kind of did was really focus on that strong gesture of making that connection, and it really made all the other elements and all the other components that we were trying to fit together really organize themselves around that. And so I'm going to break it down a little bit. So when you enter from the parking lot, you have this strong walkway. There's a sign here as you come past the entry plaza that announces the memorial. There's information on this entry wall here that tells you about the orientation to Arlington and about, you can be in other dedication plaques or plaques just talking about how this space honors veterans of all walks. And then as you walk down this path, there's benches on either side underneath the flowering ornamental trees, as well as lighting under the trees and along the walkway so that it can be enjoyed if you're driving by and seeing at night, or if someone comes, right now, if you come at 6 o'clock, you need that lighting, even though it's not light, not dark, not late. And then as you come to the center of this space, we've oriented this pergola to the southwest so that you can get shade throughout the site a good portion of the day. All of the pavers throughout this space could be donor bricks, and can be engraved, as well as any of the benches or other elements can be sponsored items. And so we have a gathering space up here, and then you'll see some details in a minute with the Armed Forces seals surrounding the fountain, and then the fountain has the eternal flame in the middle of it, oriented along that axis towards Arlington. And then finally, the flagpole as you look out of the space and can kind of view that in the background of the larger plaza. This is the view as you would be coming from the parking lot. This is a mock-up, so I know some of the material. If you have questions about the materials, we can answer that as we get in, because I know some of them are a little fuzzy on here. One of the things we did add was the additional benches on this lawn space. So there's another place besides the adjacent shelter to just kind of enjoy the space, and leaving some kind of play lawn or area to have a picnic and not be in the middle of the memorial. As you come here, there's the entry plaza, and these are the two plaques. There could be additional either at dedication or added if something needed to be expressed at a later date. But we would intend one at least to be a kind of a dedication plaque, listing of the council members or any major donors, anything like that, as well as another one that would have some information about why the memorial is oriented the way it is, and that connection to DC. So as you kind of turn the corner towards the memorial, this is the kind of alley of flowering trees with the benches kind of offset. This is at a very gentle slope, but it is a little bit steeper than you would want to put a bench right up on it. So we've pulled them off of the walkway so that you can get that so your one foot's not sitting on higher ground than the other as you're enjoying the bench, and you can kind of not be feeling like you're right on the walkway and get a little bit more shade under the trees as well as privacy. You can see the strong axis that kind of promenade creates. This is kind of a bird's eye view. So that walkway we were looking down is right here. And we have these circular benches around the plaza and underneath the shade structure. And you can get kind of a wider view of how the flag and the space orient to the fountain. So here's kind of a zoom in of the fountain. So it is kind of like a tabletop with the water originating from around the flame that does have kind of guards around it. We've also looked into some other options there. We've actually got some where the flame doesn't need a guard that we were looking at. We got some more information from the manufacturer the other day, but there's few details we need to work out about that before we got to construction. But the water does come out from around that and flow over the side into this trough. And we are looking at ways. I know we've got pebbles here, and staff has said we have concerns about people picking up the pebbles. So we are looking at ways to bind those pebbles while still being able to drain the water, so that you have this look, but no concern of people throwing pebbles. And then the 6 branches of service are represented around the fountain on kind of these steel blades, so that it doesn't detract from the fountain, but kind of lets them kind of be floating or almost floating in the air around it and a part of the fountain. And this is the view kind of from this side of the street as you would approach it, so that you can see the presence it has as you're driving by. And one of the comments that we said, that we were told by multiple people, was we don't want this to just be something you drive by, but we do want it to be attractive as you drive by. So, I think the feedback we got most recently was that we kind of balanced that well, that there's enough intrigue as you drive by that it's attractive and makes you want to pull in and experience it. It's not something that you just drive by and don't feel like you need to go and enjoy on foot. So, how do we get this built? So we have put together, along with our partners with Harris Cost, we have put together this construction cost estimate. So the top line is, is kind of in somewhat in order, is that you need to do a specific survey of the site, and then go through detailed design, engineering, permitting, bid the project, and typically the design team is involved in overseeing construction. So that's the construction observation. And so that's estimated at $75,000. And then the construction costs, we have further breakdown. If you guys post-meeting want to talk to Jerry about line by line how much different things cost, but we've grouped them in kind of larger categories for understanding here. That site prep, so your demolition of the existing site, removal of plants and things is around $47,000. Site improvements, which includes the site electric, which is going to be all of the walls, the lighting, the walkways, the fountain, the flagpole, pretty much all of those hard elements that you see, is estimated at $447,000. The landscape, so the array of trees, the grasses, the additional trees kind of shading the space around it, is estimated at $62,000. We've also included a contingency for design estimating, because there are going to be things that, as you go through the detailed design process, so there's going to be things that get refined and couldn't be defined from these just pretty pictures without that exact level of detail that's ready for construction. So that is at 10% of basically of the above items, and that's $56,000. We've also included an escalation. I think that was, I I'd have to double check if that was 6 months or a year. Construction costs are a little bit crazy, as you all probably are aware. So we did include that, given that you're not ready to build tomorrow. And then there's also, you got to pay your GC's got to pay for all this stuff, but they also have to pay for all the other things that they're doing, like bonds, overhead, insurance, fees, et cetera. So all of that is estimated at $216. So implementation costs, which is the construction costs, and the professional services cost is $928. We do recognize that some savings may be found during further detailing of the design elements. Like we may look at something slightly different with the fountain that would reduce cost, or a different paving pattern that might reduce cost. So there's all sorts of those things that get fleshed out during design, that where we can look at keeping the integrity of the design while reducing costs. But based on the current design, this is where the estimate is. So Jerry's going to come up as well, but one thing that staff did do is look at, is work with your town maintenance staff to estimate what they think their costs would be for maintenance in-house, and they estimated the maintenance to be $35,000 to $45,000. So that is not something that our cost estimators did, but that's something that your internal staff helped us to put together.
So with all that information, we just wanted to now discuss where could we go from here. Any feedback we received tonight or direction from council, Stuart will take back. If there are revisions we want to this plan, they can make those. That's basically what's left in their current design contract, and so they would then give us that updated modeling. Future project stages, at whatever point funding is available, construction documents is the next step. As Emily explained, that's getting into the nuts and bolts of specifications, exactly what type of materials, and grading plans, and really that's about a 4 to 5 month process. Then we'll have a permitting period of 2 to 3 months. Bidding and contracting generally takes about 3 months, and then actual construction once we have those permits. But that would all take place at whatever point funding. So a total estimated time of 18 to 21 months available. There may be some overlap that could save a month or two here or there, but that's why we say 18 to 21. And the first step in that being construction documents. We just wanted to give you something to think about. If council is so inclined, you could consider, once this final concept is approved, you could consider funding that $75,000 for professional services to allow the design of the project to continue moving forward, while discussion of the construction funding continues, while the Veterans Foundation has the opportunity to reach out and look for sponsors and look for contractors who may be willing to help us with that. So with that, we will open it up to you for any discussion and questions.
Okay, open for discussion. We had a really good discussion at the Senior Center a number of months ago. Looking forward to some more like that tonight. Councilmember Scroggins-Johnson, followed by Councilmember Rabati, please.
Great. Thank you, Mayor. I really like this design. I think it incorporates a lot of the elements that we discussed in October, and then the Park and Recs Committee discussed, and from what I hear, the Veterans Committee reviewed this as well. So it incorporates a lot of the elements. Could we go to the slide where you talk about what was kept? And yes. Yes, that's it. The retained elements. I mean, those three designs, they were very different. And I'm amazed that you were able to retain a lot of these elements with this current design. It has benches, it has shade, it has a focal point, it has water features. It's a bargain compared to, all three. The one thing that I see as a possible removal is the eternal flame because I see in the back of my head, it's a safety concern. It's going to require a lot of mitigation. That location is where we have a lot of festivals for the community, and that increases risk. It's a good thing to have the traffic, but with fire, even though we have a fire station just around the corner, I'm just worried that that might be something we want to really think about, if that can be retained. The fountain can be designed to be, you know, a little bit different. There could be more lighting opportunities, but the flame, I'm a little concerned about safety. The other thing is those flowering trees. I've heard mixed things about the cherry trees because they represent Washington and so forth. Cherry trees only bloom in the spring, and then they're done. The crepe myrtles that are native to North Carolina have flowers a lot longer. And so if you're looking as a concept of flowering trees, you're going to have a longer season of flowers from a crepe myrtle than you would a cherry tree, which is a few weeks. So.
You may notice on the drawing, we've labeled those trees as flowering ornamental trees.
Right, which there's a lot of different ones, but.
The original concept did specify, based on some feedback we received, recommends native trees if possible, which cherry trees are. Asked if that be changed to flowering.
Flexibility. Well, I happen to be an expert on cherry trees since I grew up with them. So I just wanted to share, you know, we have some beautiful options in North Carolina. Well done. I'm really excited to hear about the next steps. So thank you.
Councilmember Rabati, followed by Mayor Pro Tem Johnson, please.
Thank you. I agree that there is a lot to like about this design. I like the simplicity. I like the way it sits in the space. I like the relative size of the memorial, and I like the fact that you've incorporated so many of the design elements that we liked and taken out a lot of what I felt was kind of extra stuff. You know, I think that I think when you're doing something like this, you know, you want to include everything. Everybody wants a monument that's going to indicate how much we respect veterans, how much we appreciate their sacrifice. But, you know, I think that you have managed to capture that without, excuse me, without going overboard and over-designing the monument, which we don't have room for and don't need. And I think this really represents a good use of the space. I agree 100% with Councilmember Scroggins-Johnson's comments about the trees. I think that we should use native trees. You guys know that. But I did want to call attention to one design element, and that's the benches. If you could go forward a couple of slides, or maybe backward a couple. Okay, so I feel strongly that this space should be a place where people can sit, can contemplate the sacrifices of veterans, can think about loved ones who may have lost their lives, who may have, you know, have made sacrifices in the service of their country. And I know these are renderings, but I do want to say that I think these benches send the wrong message. I remember when they started putting benches like these in the parks in New York, and the message was very clear, which was, do not plan to sleep on this bench. You know, and I don't like the austerity of the benches. I want them to look inviting. I want them to look comfortable. I want them to really, like, I know this is a design element, and I'm sure that design-wise, these are probably the perfect benches. I still want the benches to look comfortable. I want them to be inviting, and I want people to feel encouraged to sit on them and to stay, you know, to stay as long as they want. The benches, the round bench thing around the fountain up at the top, it has been my experience, and I may be way off here, but in most of the veteran memorials that I've seen, there are there are a lot of elderly people that come to the memorial. They come and they sit, and I really, like, I understand what you're going for here, I really do. But I just think that let's keep the main thing the main thing. And the main thing is that we want people to feel welcome, to be comfortable while they're here. And so I think that that if we used, I don't even know what they make benches out of these days, but benches with a back, benches with armrests, benches that would make people more comfortable in the space, even if we sacrifice like a little bit of a, like a cool design element to get that. I still think we should keep the main thing the main thing, And I appreciate Councilmember Scroggins-Johnson's remarks about the eternal flame. I'd love to see a moving water feature. Almost anything that doesn't involve fire would be better because Jerry, what happens on this lawn during the 4th of July, and there's just no way that there's not going to be kids in the fountain roasting marshmallows over that flame. And I just think we should figure out something that will convey the spirit of the eternal flame without fire. And also, I understand that Mr. Dukowitz has consulted with the Sierra Club, and there are also some environmental concerns about supporting an eternal flame, which also give me pause. I definitely want to be respectful of that. And also, I'm not entirely clear on what went on with the Veterans Memorial Foundation, but they've done the majority of the work on this concept. They've brought the project to fruition. I really want to go forward feeling good that everyone on the committee feels respected, feels heard, and has had their wishes incorporated in the design. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson, followed by myself.
So if you could bring up that, Jerry, if you could bring up that slide again, which shows the rendering from Town Hall Drive looking back to, yes, that one. I will tell you, I think that's beautiful. The first, when I flipped to this picture in my briefing, I thought that's it. That captured it. The flag front and center, a fountain or some kind of feature there, and then the trees, just everything about that, this angle, I think is just beautiful. And I'm not going to repeat everything that's been said, but I agree with everything that's been said to this point. I too am a little concerned about the whole fire thing. I was concerned with that even up front when we talked about putting it out, in the pond that's there, the existing water that's there. So I think we can kind of flesh that out some more as we go. I think if I could say anything different at this point, I want us all to remember how we got here and why we're here. The Morrisville Veterans Memorial Foundation really wanted a concept plan that they could use going forward in their fundraising, and they didn't have that. They had nothing to this degree, to this level that we are going to have now coming out of this part of the process. And I think that's critically important because that is going to help tremendously. I'm looking forward to purchasing a bench myself in honor of my dad. And I agree, I'd like to see the benches a little different, but those are all the details to come. This is just a concept design at this point. There's lots of details that'll be fleshed out as we move forward. But I just really think it's important to remember that the reason we're here is to make sure there's a concept that the Veterans Memorial can use moving forward in their fundraising efforts. And I think we've gotten there. So I'm really happy about that. I do have a question though, Jerry, the question you put up here about, do we want to go to the next step and start funding the $75,000 for professional services? And my gut is telling me we're not there yet. Isn't that the step we take when we're really close to construction? Or I don't want to get too far ahead when we don't have a real good funding source at this time.
And that's definitely understandable. The next step is the detailed design. That's the interim before you get to that construction point. Now, you all have heard, especially in the last couple of years, a lot of references to projects that are shovel-ready. That's become an important phrase when you talk about grants and other things. This next step of doing those construction designs gets you to that point. You have to start construction immediately after, but you have the plans, you have everything ready to go. If there were grants available at that time, we're shovel-ready. If there's an opportunity for us to apply, it's a project that's ready to go. We can work through some of the details, some of the finer points, through that process, and that may help answer some of the questions for potential funders. What is the fountain going to look like? What are the benches going to look like? That's where you make those choices, is in that material selection in construction.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful. Can I add something?
I'll just add to that, I flipped the slide back to the future stages that between construction documents and permitting, that's still a 6 to 8 month process. Or, yeah, is that math right? 6 to 8 month process. So, so there's still like to even get to the end of construction documents and permitting. So, it's not like.
Okay. Because, go ahead. You're going to say one more?
Just to add to that, that gives us time to see where we are with the interest, to be able to put the plan out here and work on fundraising. But those plans, when they're ready, can be held on to. It takes some additional time to get to the point where we're ready to go whenever we are.
Okay. Okay, thank you for all that. That helps. And then just a couple more points. I think, I don't want to speak for the Veterans Memorial, but I attended the last meeting, and a lot of the conversation was around how much this is costing now, the price tag. And I would echo that is concerning for me as well. I think there is opportunity moving forward to refine this and fine tune it a bit. The other part is, and the Veterans Memorial at the meeting I attended last week, they talked about this too. There's opportunity for grant funding. There's lots of opportunities out there. So whether they come to be or not, we won't know until they all go out and try to hunt those down. So we'll see. But I really believe, and I told the group this last week, I really believe that we all, the citizens that gave us their input on this, our Parks and Recs Advisory Committee, our Veterans Memorial Foundation Board, this council, our staff, we want to make a memorial happen here in the town of Morrisville. And I'm confident of that. I'm confident we're going to have one. Will it look exactly like this with the materials that we're looking at today? I doubt it. I doubt it very much. We've already talked about a couple of changes we're going to make. But I think the concept is just beautiful. And I think if we kind of keep that in mind, that we're going to continue to take everybody's input, even the input we've received today via email. We're going to take everybody's input and we're going to keep that all in mind as we move forward. I think that's the way to go. So I appreciate you bringing this to us now. We'll keep working this and fine tuning it, and it will be a beautiful memorial to honor those in our families and those that serve today. And that's what this is all about. So thank you.
Thank you. It's my turn now, followed by Councilmember Rao. I like the discussion that we've had so far. I love this image right here. I'm very comfortable, despite the cost, with something of this size and idea. I understand it's going to cost more than we expect. And fundraising, frankly, I don't think it's going to get us all the way. I think we're going to need some grants. We might need the town to step in and help, not just with the design in the beginning, but with some of the construction at the end. That's just being said. There were some things, I'm not sure if everyone got a chance to read the email from a gentleman who's on the Veterans Committee, but I agree that having native trees and things that are going to thrive is important. So I think that's an important thing. If you could go back to the slide with the really shows the benches. I guess I'm not necessarily I'm not sure why those aren't comfortable. They have a back. I could take a nap on it. I'd ask one of my colleagues to sort of let me know why are those benches not inviting? Just because I don't understand it, honestly. Yeah, Councilmember Scroggins-Johnson.
So for people that have possibly veterans that are older, balance is an issue. Sitting without a back is a problem. The closest reflection benches don't have backs. So we are not allowing that population that might need a back to be closest to the reflection.
And
Okay.
also, if I could, Mayor, the
Please.
lack of armrests on the bench is a concern for me because for the same reasons that Councilmember Scroggins-Johnson mentioned. I mean, it's really important that people, especially older people, people with physical challenges, be able to brace themselves on the bench, to get up. And often these kind of benches, you'll see that they're concrete on a block. And so when it doesn't give you as much freedom of movement to plant your knee, to plant your feet. It's just not advised. It's just not
senior
the best.
friendly.
Yeah, it's not senior friendly. I just think there are better options.
Okay.
I think is my main objection.
So these 6 benches along the walkway, I could agree. I like that they have a back. I thought that was important. If we could make them more ADA accessible and maybe have at least some armrests on some of them so that those are inviting, because I think of like handicap bathrooms, they have the things around to help people in and out. So, and maybe make sure there's room beside them. Like if you go to a movie theater, there's room for seats and then room for wheelchairs. So just keep that in mind. There's some wheelchair spacing near the benches so people can sit near them. And I didn't really think about what my colleagues were talking about around the round center area. But I think that although this looks beautiful, I think having it be more function is important. And so having maybe some armrests and some backs there as well might help.
If we may, they added
I'll
some
own.
benches that may answer that.
Yeah, I'll own that for not pointing that out, that there's the particular bench product that we're showing, you can have backs or no backs. You can have armrests as often or as few as you want. So it's pretty interchangeable. So I should have pointed that out. And actually in this particular image, the benches that are on the lawn is the same exact product, but a standalone bench versus a one on top of a wall, and that shows the armrest and the back on this one. So there's a lot of options. So we can fix all the bench problems.
Yeah, those are a bit more attractive, but they're less solid looking. The rest of the memorial just looks really solid, is my thoughts about that. So that's...
Those products today can commonly be made out of wood, or a very common practice you see in park benches now.
Yeah, love that.
Options there as well that are environmental.
Right. And moving to environmentally friendly. Sorry, you were saying they're...
They're usually less expensive than the super durable woods.
Okay, well, hopefully they're also durable. But for the sustainability and trying to be good for the environment, I was a little concerned and hadn't really thought about it, although some of my colleagues had, about the fossil fuel use for an eternal flame. So if there is any way to create the idea of an eternal flame, maybe using solar or some kind of lighting instead of actual flames. I heard a lot of concerns about safety, but an LED is safe. And I've seen ones that sort of look like a flame in my neighbors' yards. And if we actually have batteries, it can be eternal. So even if there is a power outage in the area, the flame goes on. So that'd be nice. Incorporating any kind of solar nearby on maybe some of the other shelters could power this over time and be part of that was just a thought that I had. And I do like this. I share the concern about the cost, but I think that this is what the town, what I hope most of the town is looking for. There was another concept which was ornamental, not ornamental, but natural stones and things like that. And I like the idea, but I think that this is what I think of as when I come to veterans memorials. I'm not a veteran though, so I want to respect their wishes and their thoughts. But I think that this is a really good way for us to go. And I'm a little concerned that we're saying that we can change things later, that we don't need to do the design funds now. I don't think we're going to do design funds tonight, but I think it's something that sooner rather than later, we need to go ahead and pull the trigger to keep this moving forward. And I think that's everyone's goal, is to keep this moving forward, and looking forward to helping with that. Those were my main thoughts. Yes, sir?
Weren't expecting a discussion or decision on that question.
Right.
We understand you all are just starting a budget process. There's going to be a lot of conversation going forward. Not the intent at all.
Okay, thank you very much. Councilmember Rao, followed by Councilmember Garamella.
Councilmember Gilman was before me, so I'm going to have him go first.
Yeah. I love the concept. I'm echoing everything which has been said. I want to ensure there are, like, lights underneath the flagpole. So, that's there because the diagram didn't show any kind of like lighting there. So I just want to ensure like there are like high beams which from.
Actually, any flag that's left up overnight is supposed to have lights on it. So that will be.
And then the other thing also, like, I don't know, I've seen like flags in half, in half mast and all those kind of things. Those have to be maintained. I think, I don't know, like schools do it and every other public offices do it. So this will apply for that one too, because we have to ensure we're following the protocol which comes from the federal, whenever they say, or the state. And there was some concern about cherry trees versus crepe myrtle. My whole idea is I think shade is the most critical thing. Personally, I have crepe myrtles and I'm not a big fan because when they drop, they have stains and that will stain the entire whatever that thing is, and it's a logistic nightmare and for cleaning it up. Because that's my driveway is full of kind of stuff, So cherry is fine as long as the shade is given to the trees underneath it. Means for the benches underneath. That is my main goal. That would be really cool. And also like from the cost estimate point of view, right? I think we have taken only one cost of the person. Like, it would be good to get 2 or 3 other vendors to get a cost estimate. Because for me, I think those costs, if you go to the slide, it's very highly inflated, I feel. And then this thing about GC expenses, bonds, insurance fees, overhead, F216, is it not like when they complete, those bonds are given back? Or, the money is returned? Because I'm just trying to understand, because I've never, so I wanted to see from this slide, something that a council can talk either in retreat or later or in the future is what is that our town can do from our end, especially on landscaping or those kind of things. And what is that, we cannot. So that way, at least we can look at a better number than what 928 is. And I do agree, it's when they have only 15,000 on their account, to pull this trigger is way out of their budget. And that's the reason I was thinking to get a couple of more other bids, so that at least we can manage the expectation. Is it really 928? So for me, it is too high for what, it's almost like Northwest Park was 1.6. So this is like small, and we are paying 928. So for me, it is like those numbers are a little off for me.
It's been amazing to see what construction costs have done in the last 6 years since we built Northwest Park.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. But overall, I think it's a good design, and I agree with the thing. I do like the concept of the flame, either real flame, or I've seen where they have some windpipes and like the lights that they beam and that you see. So that is more attractive, in whichever way, at least to have some form of thing is critical. Otherwise, in the nighttime, you won't even observe it. So you want either replace this and put a fountain with lights underneath, or basically, if you have it, have some kind of way that the lights are there, and so that people can see from far off. That's all from me.
Okay. Councilmember Rao, followed by Councilmember Fender, please.
Thank you. Well, I think I like the design. I think most of the points I was going to make have already been made. I like the simplicity of it. I wanted to sort of direct our attention to kind of the process of fundraising and I don't know the phasing of the project. I've been one memorial that's had some successes in Orange County, and I've noticed that they were able to open the memorial while they're still continuing to raise money. So what would be a good idea is if we could come up with phases and have enough money. I'm in favor of the town putting in money for professional services and maybe even more to assist in the construction. But in phase one, having something that could be a place where we could start doing veterans events, maybe like a placeholder, something more professional, and then looking at phase two and phase three, so we don't hold off regardless of we get other bids, that we can continue the process. Because I think initially $950,000 looks like a lot of money. I do think we need to assist the Veterans Committee with really accelerating the fundraising process. And to be transparent, I thank all of them for their service, but we need help in terms of working more aggressively. 4 $200,000 checks gets us to $800,000. We've got 10% of all public companies in are headquartered in Morrisville, of public companies in North Carolina. So I think working in conjunction with our communications department, who does a great job getting the word out. I mean, Morrisville's on the map now largely because we do such a great job communicating. So I think a strategy like that could really help us accelerate this. And yes, it's a big number, but we might find that it's relatively comparable to other numbers. But I think that would be my feedback. And the final thing is, if the business community is listening, or you serve the country, or you want to support veterans, if you're listening to the live stream, please reach out to us so we can develop a memorial. Because I know people watch these meetings online, and if you happen to be a CEO of a company tuning in, or you're connected, we want you coming, meeting our committee, coming to our meetings, engaging with our staff, because we've been talking about this for a long time. And I think now we're at a point where we've got to make an investment to get this thing done. So.
Councilmember Fender, please.
Yeah, I agree with what the comments that the others have said. I just wanted to clarify a couple of things. Can you go back to that budgetary estimate slide? So that escalation number, is it for 6 months or 12 months?
That was based on a 6-month escalation.
Okay.
Get through construction, drawings. That process takes 6 months. They're anticipating a $1,000 increase now.
Okay.
The economic conditions as they are today, are materials and supplies going to go up that much, or potentially could they come down? We don't know. But they're estimating an escalation in there.
Okay. So this is just the budgetary estimate, and then you're going to get multiple estimates during the phase where you go out for bidding, right?
We can include that in the design. If we want additional cost estimates to be done, that can be a part of the design.
Well, I mean, that's going to be part of the process you're going to do anyway, right? The other after you have the construction, document, you're going to go out for bid and get 3 or 4 bids, right?
Get from local contractors.
Right. Okay. That's all I had.
Okay. So if everyone could put their things down, everyone's had a chance to discuss their thoughts. I think we're pretty much on the same page as a group that we do like this concept. Sounds like there's just some very minor tweaks, if I'm not mistaken, pretty much the benches and the flame and the trees. Does staff and our consultant have enough to go forward with that and bring us back something a little bit different? Like, what would be next steps?
As we said, the next steps at this point is to take the feedback we have, do the minor adjustments to the rendering, and they would send us that rendering. Like to have additional opportunity to review or additional stations. We'll have to work with them on that contract.
Are we comfortable with that we've given enough? Councilmember Rao, did you have something to add?
One last point.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm sorry, I forgot in my first comment. Would there be a way of, maybe you've already done this, finding out what, like, for example, Orange County, because I've looked everywhere, I can't find what the cost was, but how are they phasing it? And we can learn about that, just other veterans' efforts. They've had a lot of success. Just want to throw that out there, whether we could.
Reach out to them.
Okay, so just looking, I guess, for head nods that if they change the benches a little bit, have native trees that are going to work better, address the lighting. I think we pretty much need to see those again, don't we? I think that's kind of how we roll.
So
Yeah.
I will tell you, I'm comfortable with giving them that input and moving forward. Nothing is finalized, even with them going off with this input and coming back with a document. That's still not a final, it's still a concept design, and we'll have opportunity to tweak it in the next step. So I'm comfortable with that, but that's me.
So I'm
Strong and Johnson, then Rabati, please.
I'm comfortable with moving forward with the detailed design because there's some questions we don't know, like for the eternal flame option, is that a really expensive option? Maybe it is, and then, there's some costs that we would understand better for savings or repurposing. So with the tweaks that we've seen from the concept, I'm in support of funding that $75,000 that was asked for at the end of this.
So it sounds like we're okay with taking those, do your final tweaks, get the presentation to staff, and then Councilmember Rabati.
Yeah, I just want to renew my concerns about the committee members who've been in the trenches doing this from the very beginning, and I want to make sure that there's at least another go-round where we hear their concerns and their tweaks and make sure that their input is being incorporated into what we have here. I think, I mean, I'd like to think that we've addressed quite a bit of what they had to say, but I just want to make sure I mean, you know who they are, right, Jerry? I want to make sure that we go just back around and make sure that their concerns have been addressed and that they've been fully heard.
Okay. Does staff feel like you have what you need? Okay. Thank you both very much. Thanks for coming back and seeing us.
Very much.
Okay. Another really good discussion on this topic, really important one. Thank you all very much. Okay. Now we are a little ahead of schedule, which is always nice. Right now, we're scheduled to take a break. So why don't we go ahead and take a 15-minute break, reconvene at 7:36, please, 15 minutes. Okay? Ready? Okay. Okay, bringing us back into session. Now we're at item 12, future meetings, events, and citizen involvement opportunities. The Western Wake Farmers Market offers healthy and fresh food and goods from small and local businesses, now operating under our winter hours from 9:30 a.m. to 12 noon every Saturday at the Healthy Food Hub, just down the street here on Town Hall Drive. The Town of Morrisville budget portal is now open, and we need your feedback on community needs, appropriate funding levels, and town priorities that we need to focus on. The portal closes in 2 days on Thursday, January 26th at 5 p.m. You can access it through any of our social media channels and the town website. We urge you to please give us your feedback now. We're looking to hear from you. The Morrisville Senior Center, 4117 Davis Drive, hosts a free blood pressure clinic on the fourth Friday of every month. The next clinic will be on January 27th from noon until 1 p.m. In addition to having your blood pressure taken, you can ask questions about medications and get strategies for managing blood pressure. Sign up via the Senior Center Sign Up Genius. And the following evening, the Morrisville Aquatics and Fitness Center at 1301 Morrisville Parkway is inviting all youth ages 12 to 18 to join its Teen Glow Swim Party on January 28th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. This is our first time doing it. It sounds really cool. Participants can enjoy pizza and swimming under glow lights. The event is for youth only. Parents should drop off participants and pick them up at the end. An MAFC membership or single visit pass is required for entry. Space is limited. Sign Up Genius is available through social media. As of this afternoon, there were still 15 of the 60 slots still available. So 45 people already signed up. Sounds like it's going to be quite a party. The town is growing, and your opinion matters. Advisory committees offer residents a chance to be involved in the town's decision-making processes by providing input on important matters to town council. The deadline to apply is Wednesday, February 1st at 5 p.m. Apply now on the town website or contact Town Clerk Eric Smith with any questions. Next Level Physio will hold an indoor sprint triathlon at the Morrisville Aquatics and Fitness Center on Sunday, February 5th from 7 to 11 a.m. Once again, more innovation from our departments. We love this. Each leg of swimming, biking, and running will last only 10 minutes, and participants will be asked to go as far as they can in that time. Participants will receive t-shirts, snacks, and random prizes. Registration is now open for ages 12 and up. The following evening, Monday, February 6th from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m., Go Triangle will host an open house to provide information about the proposed commuter rail plan, which includes passenger service at 15 stations along approximately 43 miles of existing North Carolina Railroad corridor between West Durham and Clayton. The open house will be in these town council chambers right here, Town Hall Drive, 100 Town Hall Drive. Please take time to become informed and provide your input before the current comment period closes on February 19th. Save the date to join us on Saturday, March 18th from noon until 3 p.m. at the Cedar Fork Community Center on Town Hall Drive as we celebrate Holi, the ancient Hindu festival marking the end of winter and welcoming the spring season. The festival is free and will feature dancing, holy powders, and food for purchase. Food and artisan vendors are invited to apply, as well as cultural performers. Please find those signups via our local social media or on our webpage. At this time, we're at Council Manager Comments, item 13. So at this time, I'd like to recognize Councilmember Garamella, followed by Councilmember Scroggins-Johnson. No comments. Thank you, sir. Councilmember Scroggins-Johnson, followed by myself.
No comments.
Oh, I'm going to change that. I'm going to have some comments. And next after me will be Councilmember Rabati. But as we head into our annual retreat and conclude the first month of this new year and begin as a town to think about what we would like to accomplish to make Morrisville an even better place to live, learn, work, and play, I would like to share some of my favorite quotes about beginnings. The future begins today. Change can be scary, but you know what's scarier? Allowing fear to stop you from growing, evolving, and progressing. When you make decisions, you release energy. Your present circumstances don't determine where you can go. They merely determine where you start. Do not wait until the conditions are perfect to begin. Beginning makes the conditions perfect. The beginning is always today. Your life does not get better by chance. It gets better by change. If not us, then who? If not now, then when? And perhaps one of my all-time favorites, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And looking forward into the future, I just want to recognize the disc golf community worked really hard to create the course over at Diavolo in Cary. And because of their efforts, there's going to be a Masters PDGA tournament in the region here in 2024. And that's quite an accomplishment. So kudos to that group of people. At this time, I'd like to recognize Councilmember Rabati, followed by Councilmember Fender.
No comments. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, Councilmember Fender?
No comments.
Oh my goodness. Councilmember Rao, followed by Mayor Pro Tem.
I'm going to shorten my comments. I want to wish everyone a happy Chinese New Year, Year of the Rabbit. Last week, I attended the DOT Transportation Summit, moving from vision to reality at the speed of change. I would direct the council and the residents to go to North Carolina Transportation's YouTube site. We can get all the presentations. Want to wish everyone a happy Indian Republic Day. And the final thing is the Aquatics and Fitness Center. A lot of people asking me where to swim, so it's closing on the 6th for a few weeks. But a lot of places like the Triangle Aquatic Center, UNC Wellness Center, Lifetime Fitness. Hopefully, we can direct people that have been addicted to the MAFC swimming, including me, to go to other places to swim. I'll reserve my remaining comments for the next meeting. I'm looking forward to a great retreat.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Johnson, please.
Just one comment. Last week, the Town of Morrisville staff and council had a legislative breakfast with our state elected officials, and I want to thank those elected officials that came, even though some were double booked and had to leave a little early, but we had a very productive morning and a lot of really good discussion, and I thank Jeannie for her efforts in that meeting. It was a really
Excellent. Good. Town Manager Page, anything from staff this evening?
Yes, just a quick one. We do have your Thursday materials for the work session here that we'll provide you as you leave. That's really the kickoff to your retreat, and we'll be giving you all the details, logistical details about the retreat, again on Friday or Thursday with the rest of your retreat agenda materials. We will have you seated at the dais on Thursday. We'll have tables back here for dinner and interaction and networking with the department heads before we start your meeting, and we're really looking forward to that.
Okay, wonderful. So we're moving right along. We have 2 closed sessions this evening to discuss matters relating to economic development, attorney-client privilege, and land acquisition. So at this time, I'd like to thank everyone for watching this meeting of the Morrisville Town Council. We hope you plan to join us again. Please feel free to email your town council members at towncouncil@townofmorrisville.org or visit www.townofmorrisville.org/council for additional contact information. At this time, I'd ask for a motion to enter into closed session. I'd like to recognize Councilmember Rao.
Mayor and Council, excuse me. Pursuant to North Carolina Statute 143.318.11A3, A4, and A5, I move that we go into closed session to discuss an attorney-client privilege matter, an economic development matter, and a real property acquisition matter.
I have a motion.
Second.
And a second. All those in favor of entering closed session, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that carries unanimously 7-0. It is 7:46. We are now in closed session, and we'll wait till the room